How you doing, everybody? And welcome to Dicey Decisions, where we roll dice, spin stories, and play some Dungeons and Dragons. I would like to not really promote someone in particular because, I mean, they don't need my help in any way whatsoever, but I would be remiss if I didn't shout out Swordsfall and the creator of Swordsfall. Just fucking awesome shit. Go follow him on Twitter. He's a super cool dude. He does not fuck around, and he's making a fantastic game with amazing lore. And if you haven't heard of Swordsfall, go check out Swordsfall. If you've heard of Swordsfall, you damn well better be supporting that shit, because it's fucking awesome. Oh, I should also, before I go, I should probably mention that we have a new member joining us this week and for the foreseeable future. His name is Troy. You can follow him at Symphenix on Twitter. He is linked on our Patreon, which, yeah, we have a Patreon now, but that can wait. It's Black History Month, and I'm gonna step aside so other people can actually have the fucking spotlight. Wouldn't that be a miracle? Yeah, that's all I got. So, without any further ado, please enjoy tonight's episode of Dicey Decisions. Last time we left our story, tragedy struck. Soot, anthropomorphic bird and light in the dark, breathed his last, in a fight that may have taken your lives as well, were it not for the desperate final spell cast by Oran. You both awaken outside the mines, being dragged there by Oran, who you awoke to see cradling the tiny body. After the initial shock, after the initial shock involving tears and a good deal of shouting, empty, tiny echoes reverberating around the ravine.
It should have been me!
Alright. After you get all the it should have been me's out.
There would have been many.
Also from Helga.
Yeah, all of you spent a good deal of time grieving for a few moments, just processing the shock of it, and it's still gonna take a lot longer, but after you're able to calm down for a moment, Oran does tell you of how the monster perished, blasted into oblivion by the sonic wave of his Thunderwave scream. He then tells you of the dark purple crystal deep in the tunnels that he was sure facilitated the creation of that creature that he ended up discovering as he was dragging you guys out, almost in complete darkness. Almost Like zombies yourselves, you begin the long walk back to Dagdaral.
Oh.
As they are traveling, so Cat will definitely walk and put Soot's body on Adric. Because of course.
Did you bring Adric?
Didn't we?
I'm pretty sure you walked.
We walked? Well, never
I will
mind. Retcon.
I will carry tiny baby.
Oh, okay.
No. That's worse.
Helga just sadly
Helga
carry.
just
Just
carries
like it's
his
like
body,
Hagrid.
just fucking tears dripping on him the whole time.
Oh god, it's like fucking Hagrid carrying Harry at the end of the fucking book. But like sadder.
Because Soot's
So it's
actually dead.
Well, Harry was dead for a second.
Harry was dead.
He was dead for like at least like 2 minutes.
Yeah, he talked to Dumbledore and shit.
Yeah, so as they walk, Cat will be, very. She's just very. She's smad.
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 So smash.
She's the smaddest she's ever been. So, and she's like, after a long silence, she'll go, so, how are we going to fix them?
Is Helga just sobbing?
Yeah, it's just the entire time Helga's just like sobbing, sometimes loudly and sometimes trying to like quiet down and then just
Oh god.
Helga, how are we going to fix this?
What? He's dead.
Yeah, but there are ways that the people can be brought back. There are things we can do. I mean, he's Mr. My God is magical and loving, and like there's got to be something that we can do.
Is there? Helga
Oran.
looks to Oran for confirmation.
Oran says, I don't know about any gods, but if Artur could save Gerg, maybe there's a chance that she'll know something. I don't know.
Helga
Oran.
starts running faster towards Artur's place in
Please
hopes to
don't
get
drop
there as
him.
soon as possible.
It's a 6-hour walk.
Helga can make it in 5.
And as they're now speed walking, Cat will lay a hand on Oran's shoulder and be like, this was not your fault, right?
He doesn't respond.
Oran, this is not your fault.
I could have saved him.
You had no way of knowing.
I was right there. He kind of just shoulders your hand off and just walks ahead a little further, matching step with Helga.
Now I'm sad.
How is Tiny Man keeping pace with Helga?
He takes fast steps.
Spite.
Spite walking. Also, he's gay, so he walks fast.
That's true. That's how it works.
Who said he was gay? All right.
Gay as using gay as an umbrella term.
He's a
here.
queer.
And we walk fast.
He's one of the like we all power walk. Oh shit. I feel red. I feel so red.
Anywho.
Yes.
Helga's power walking through her gayness and her depression.
Oh god, Helga walks doubly fast. That's how she got the barbarian extra 10 feet of speed.
Depression.
Depression and
That's why
gayness.
That's why her thighs are so great too. Her calves. All that speed walking.
Yep. I've noticed
I
all the
like it.
character art I've ever drawn, I've just consistently made everyone thicker and thicker. And I'm
Yeah,
living for it.
You're such a strange boy.
Big muscular women.
He's got a thing for
And a
muscular
thick-
ladies.
And a thick, tiny bird.
Him thick. My son doesn't fuck.
Anymore.
Harley,
God.
I will end you.
Fair.
Okay, so 3 hours into your walk.
Oh no. Fucking.
Well, actually, 2.5 hours into your power walk because you're power walking. You begin
Bring
to
it
hear
on.
you begin to hear the rushing of water. Ahead of you is a large orange-leafed tree, perhaps an errant seed of the Goldfall forest carried on the wind years ago, but it hangs over a small brook that likely feeds into the Dothar River a mile or so down the way. So you realize you recognize that tree. That was kind of the halfway point for it is the same tree actually that you all waited under on your way to the mines when you took one of your breaks. So that's your halfway
Forget,
point.
Oh, halfway.
It was about halfway ish.
Onward.
Yes.
Onward, my friends.
However, as you notice this tree, the figures beneath it draw your eye. One is a small, plump mule tied to an equally small cart, laden with a few boxes and barrels. The other, at first, appears to be a small child filling their canteen in the waters, but as you approach, it becomes very apparent that they are a man. A 3-foot-tall man. Troy, what does this man look like as he turns to see 3 beat-to-shit mercenaries? One, a traveling minstrel, another some sort of knight, and the third, clearly a Frostburnian warrior, carrying a tiny avian body in her arms, feathers gray and dull.
So, the figure...
And sobbing.
The figure is just under 3 feet tall. 3 feet is a little generous, we'll say. And he's built somewhat stocky, I'd say. You know, not necessarily like muscly, but not rail thin either.
It's wiry.
Yes. Wiry, but with like clear muscles in his arms. He is wearing what appears to be some fairly standard leather armor. And has a rapier strapped to his waist. And as he looks upon these figures, his face kind of goes from confusion to immediate, almost mask-like customer service face.
Ah.
But in that one moment, just before the customer service voice clicks on,
Yikes.
he sees the avian body in Helga's arms. That mask falls away almost immediately, replaced with like a face of genuine concern. And he sits up from where he was kneeling to refill his canteen. It's, doesn't make much of a difference height-wise. And he just looks from Helga over to a cart that is next to where the mule is tied to this tree from the Goldfall Forest. And he just says, "Rest your weight for a bit."
Helga sits down and has the body of Soot still resting in her lap.
Oh.
The moment that
Crying.
that Helga sits down, this figure moves to the cart with purpose. That's not to say he sprints, but there's a difference between walking somewhere and walking like if something is in your way, it's not going to be much longer.
too is a power walker.
He's a gay.
And
I trust him already.
he goes to the back of this cart and retrieves a couple of clay mugs and what appears to be a barrel, but not, a barrel that is most likely what you all would have seen in like Daggerall or something. This is not a 5-foot tall barrel of like rainwater or whatever. This is a barrel probably about half the size of this figure himself. And it has a small spigot on the side.
Oh my god,
He-
is that ale? I really
Oh.
could use some ale right now.
Why else do you think I'm cracking it open? And so he literally, sets it onto this little wooden stand, taps the keg open, and pours 2 mugs of a very light, not light, but
A pale ale.
yes, it is a lighter
Match
color,
my
like
face.
almost an amber.
Amber ale, then.
Yes,
Thank you, Carly.
thank you, Carly.
The only person here who actually drinks beer.
You are indeed, my friend.
I will have to bug you for thoughts then.
It's fair.
Does your guy
I have a
brew?
name.
You are not a thought.
Here comes a thought.
Yes.
It's a cycle.
He pours up 2 mugs of this golden amber ale and just wordlessly, no, he actually retroactively he actually pulls 3 mugs, and there's one pulled for Helga, one for Kat, and one for Oran.
Thank you. We've had a very, very long day.
I can only imagine. I'm not here to ask questions. Just sit. Are you hungry?
A random stranger giving out beer in the middle of the woods. I love it. Helga is hungry. When
I
he
guess
says
Helga,
I'm
like-
hungry. Helga like.
Like sniffs and nods.
"Mm."
Our large friend here is pretty much always hungry.
Luckily for you, Hops and I tend to carry quite a bit around.
Hops.
That's
And-
adorable.
Is the name of your mule Hops?
Yes.
That's
And this
adorable.
is when Kat's like composure absolutely like fails and she just bursts into tears. She's been stoic until this point, but like the humor and the cuteness of a mule named Hops just breaks through all of her
It's like when
her,
pregnant It's like when you're depressed and you cry at commercials.
and that just like breaks her and she just is sobbing into like Hops's side.
And Hops does not seem to give the slightest bit of shits.
Hops.
Hops
And
is a very interesting.
and so
Such a deep.
this figure starts to set up a campfire actually, and seems to be preparing to put some food together. And he's doing all of this completely wordlessly. You can
Did he
tell
say
that.
his-
Say again?
I was gonna say, did he say his name yet? Because I'm just realizing he's like he made a
Nobody's introduced themselves yet.
Nope, he is literally just, do you need beer? Do you need food? And has just started to work.
the hostess with the mostest.
I guess I'll bite the bullet because nobody else will. The elf, they're called wow, I just lost my
River
mind.
elf?
What?
Oran's a river elf, right? Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, he's a river elf. They're called river elves, because they're the same color as the Sky River. But he's basically a wood elf. red-skinned elf, he kind of sits up as you start making the fire, and he starts helping out, and he takes like a massive swig of the ale, like actually downs it in one gulp, and
Hey,
starts
that's
sitting
how
around to helping you.
And the moment that he's lifting hands to try to help with the fire, the figure actually swats away his hand a little bit. You all
Like
have
a
been
little
traveling.
Just no.
You all have been traveling. Sit and relax. Let me do some work.
You are exceedingly kind. What is your name, stranger?
Good barrel.
Barrel.
That is a nice barrel.
Thank you. I made it myself, actually. And so he's just getting some salted meats from the cart and placing them over the fire. It's nothing altogether too fancy, but it is certainly hearty food and well spiced and warm.
I'm Kat. This is Helga and Oran.
Oh, there.
It's a pleasure. However strenuous your day may be, I hope that I can provide some respite, whichever one that is.
I think it's respite.
I hope I can provide some respite.
Thank you.
You're a breath of fresh air in all this. Now he's like staring at Soot. Is Soot still in your lap, Helga?
Yes.
Okay.
When Helga was passed a mug, she immediately just chugged the whole thing.
And as the food is cooking, with almost memorized movements, Good Barrel is now circling around and grabbing both Oran and Helga's mugs and retapping them, and just every move is deliberate. When he's walking, it's literally in the most efficient manner possible, in the sense that, like, he is not, like, doubling back on himself. He is, like, tapping the keg, then Helga, then Oran, then back to the meat, checking on that. Then he'll, circle around and all of that stuff.
It is definitely good server etiquette.
He's done this before.
And after he served up the food, he eventually just looks to Kat, actually, because she's been the most vocal out of everyone thus far. Where are you all headed?
Actoral, and yourself?
What a coincidence. That's also where I'm headed.
What business do you have in the city?
Dropping off supplies. I'm a bit of a trader, I suppose.
Of ales?
Yes, actually.
Where do you hail from?
I'm genuinely trying to remember. Trying to remember what we had established.
Well,
Thought that was in character for a second. I'm
Well-
genuinely trying to remember.
I'm genuinely... Yeah, this is another... There's another amnesia character.
No, actually, I know what he'll say.
Okay.
And he actually hesitates for a moment before he speaks. And he just says, suppose I'm from everywhere, but last place I really put down roots was Pern.
Pern, I guess either of you could roll a history check to know anything about Pern if you so desired.
I think that's what my cat says.
Pern!
That's funny. I'm gonna roll it. Just give me a moment.
Yeah.
I have the higher history.
You
Helga
both
wants
can.
to know.
I was about
I
to check my
wanna
history, and
know.
then remembering
You're
I'm the
from
one-
there.
My history roll is a 9.
Yeah, Helga, you never heard of it.
Yep, it's the sound my cat makes.
19.
19. Okay. Katrina, you know that Pern is a very far northern city, actually one of the the northernmost established city in Beconville, as
why
as
wouldn't
far as
I
anyone
know it?
knows. Because you rolled a 9. You wouldn't know that it's called that.
There.
Maybe Katrina will say something and you'll be like, oh, but like you don't recall any of this specific lore
That's-
about it.
Oh, you mean burgers, blah, blah, blah.
That's quite a ways from here, almost where Helga's from.
It's a dwarven city. One of the last dwarven-owned cities on the continent.
Oh, yeah, that thing. That place, yes.
You did pass through it on your way down south, Helga.
Have you been in the industry for long?
Most of my life, actually. Yeah.
Well, you are certainly very good at it. Thank you very much for your kindness and hospitality. You've made us most at ease.
Should we tip him?
You know, most developed nations don't tip.
But this
Yeah,
is
that's 'cause
America.
I was gonna say
I thought it was Beconville.
This is Beckenver.
Beckenville.
I mean, that's usually because in America, like, waiters are generally underpaid.
Yeah.
Who knows the frickin' courtesy back then? What, do you
Well-
do you tip the random guy in the woods who starts serving you food and alcohol?
Well, you can think of it as like, okay,
More like
so
a compensation.
we'll say this is like actually a cultural thing that like we have to kind of establish at some point. So I'd like to think that this is kind of like Shakespearean, where like you're only gonna tip someone if they're like Peter.
You're
What
only
did he
gonna
do?
tip someone if they're Peter. Got it.
You're only gonna tip someone if it's like they're a jester and it's like, you know, they're like the fool in Twelfth Night, where like every time they do a really good pun, you're like, all right, and you toss them a silver or something like that. But like you don't really
So
tip.
mostly entertainment.
Yeah, it's like you tip entertainers if they're working specifically for tips, but like you don't
This
you don't
guy's a
really tip
merchant
waiters.
who's
You
a-
pay them. Or if somebody like helps you with something, they go and retrieve you know, they help you build a wall of your house because a tree ran into it. You like, I don't know, give them
Tree
some
ran
food.
into it.
I hate it when trees run into my house.
Same.
Hey,
Happened
this
just
is
earlier
magical.
today.
Damn imps.
I hate
So-
all of you.
Good Barrel actually says, "How long have you all been walking?"
3 hours.
About 3 hours.
And he actually looks to the sky for a moment. Kind of.
What's the sky like right now?
It's it was kind of cloudy this morning. Like some clouds were moving in. It's actually a bit of a chill wind is coming through. It feels like Helga, you've never, of course, been down this far south in the spring, but you know, there's always a last little chill before you know summer really starts to warm up.
2 electric boogaloo.
It's winter too, electric boogaloo. You can feel it in your bwins.
Once.
My boins?
Yeah.
Bone.
Once.
I was like, what the fuck is my boin?
You sense a little bit of a chill in the air, and the clouds are coming in. There might even be snow.
I like that. I like that weather.
Yeah, so the fire is nice though.
What time of day is it?
It's about mid-afternoon.
And so Good Barrel is actually looking up towards the sky to judge that. And he just says, "All right, give me. Everybody warm up by the fire. Give me about half an hour's time. Me and Hops will help you get the rest of the way to Dagdaral."
Aw,
You're very kind. Thank you.
such a kind little stranger.
It's the least I can do.
And Kat kind of like pulls Helga aside.
What?
It's I don't really know if it's proper etiquette to, point out that the middlings, and she kind of like just vaguely gestures of a short person.
Helga looks down at Kat. Everyone is small to me.
During all of this, Good Barrel is seemingly moving stuff around in the cart, clearly trying to set up barrels and sacks of goods and things like that to make makeshift seats. But you can kind of just see the glint of a grin, knowing that he's hearing this conversation.
Oh. Yeah, y'all aren't that far away. And his passive
I
perception's pretty high.
At least I still have my humor, Michael.
At least you still have that. Oh, wow, he has a really high passive perception.
Does
Jesus.
it
Oh,
really
Helga-
make up for the loss of the bird?
No, and Helga is not laughing about this. Helga's just like serious, like everyone is just small.
Oh my god, he has the same passive insight. Jesus.
A very insightful man.
I do have to say, Good Barrel.
Mhm.
And Kat kind of like scratches the back of her neck. That we aren't exactly in the best of terms with the gods of Daggerall, because we kind of.
We are banned from their city.
Yeah.
We're not banned yet. Don't know what that voice was. We're not
Oh,
banned
yeah.
yet.
Oh yes, we are on probation.
No, I'm pretty sure 24 hours are up.
Yeah, if we see any paladins, you may want to hightail it out of there because they'll be probably putting us in chains. We didn't do anything, too bad.
I mean, all we did was disrupt the corrupt legal system and
Human
expose
trafficking.
human trafficking. What's the
Wouldn't it
word
be-
that I'm looking for?
Wait, wouldn't it be a humanoid trafficking ring?
Humanoid trafficking ring that is held in place by their most wealthy council members, but nothing that bad.
Alright, well, why don't you just drop everything on him? Why don't you?
He
So-
gave me beer, and his mule is named Hops. I trust
So-
him.
So Good Barrel this whole time has just kind of been listening with this little wry grin, kind of very amused. But then the moment that the human trafficking ring is mentioned, he goes pale, and he's
Pale as the
tanned.
pale ale.
He's got tan skin, like clearly he's spent a lot of time in the sun, and he goes pale, and he kind of sits his posture up some and just says, "All right, well, we'll go back to Daggerall and we'll just have a word. How about that?"
There's really no word that can be had. We've had words. The fact that we were given a 24-hour little notice to get was pretty much the only concession that we could get. Things are very deeply corrupted, but we're working on it. We have a friend who I have a feeling we're about to be asking more favors of, and she kind of looks over at Soot in Helga's arms.
Well, here's what I'll offer. I've got a place over in Daggerall, just a little place that we can put you up in for at least long enough to figure out the next step. This is not a permanent establishment. This is helping out people who clearly need a little bit of extra help.
And you would know, Good Barrel, that this location that I believe you're mentioning, if it's the same place, it is outside of the walls of the city, so there is a lot less regular patrols of paladins.
That's
And so he just says, So we'll be at least near Daggerall. We're not gonna go in, so you don't have to worry about getting we're not gonna be getting too close to the Red Capes. Don't you worry about that.
And Oran, you are not included in our sentencing, so you should be able to go to Gurg and speak to Artur about what has transpired.
Oh, gods. How is Garg gonna take this? It's fine. It's fine. This is fixable. He's actually talking into his hands, like just covering his whole face.
There's a phrase that we use back in Pern. You'll cross that bridge when you get there. Don't start thinking about all of these extra little steps. Let's just get back to somewhere warm and safe first. How's that?
Alright. Go ahead and roll a persuasion check, actually, for that. I like that.
Me?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
So I need...
You're calming down an NPC.
That is a total of 14.
Alright. Yeah, he seems to visibly calm down a bit. Kind of focuses his eyes.
If you all are
Probably better than...
done eating and keeping warm, Hops can take all of y'all. He's had some practice carrying a good deal of stuff, so, and he's quite understanding of people in need, aren't you, boy? And he goes over and pats Hops on the head.
What's a good horse?
It's a mule, actually, but you know, I'm not gonna split hairs.
Well...
Yes, it's like a horse, but also a donkey and small.
Okay. Are we all riding on the donkey then?
No, there's a cart.
Oh, there's a cart. Okay, I was like, wait a minute.
It's not going to fit all of you, I will say that, but it will fit, you know, the body.
Yeah, actually, he does some kind of like quick mental like Tetris with the cart. He just says, "Do you remember what I said when you first walked up, my friend?" And he's actually looking to Helga at this point.
No, I was too busy crying.
I said, "Rest your weight." And he motions to Soot in the cart.
Helga takes one of her fur blankets and wraps Soot in it, gently, carefully places him in the cart.
And as they start moving, Goodbarrel actually comes over and, like, Hop seems to be, you know, not exactly careful about how he's walking. And Finnan comes over and actually just, like, nudges him a little bit, and the walking seems to grow a little bit more careful.
What a good pony.
And Goodbarrel just has that sort of, like, grin and just starts leading Hops down the road.
Country
However many hours
road,
later.
take me home to the place.
We should have sang that song at karaoke.
West
Virginia.
Virginia. Mountain Mama. Take
Okay.
me home.
So you all make your way back towards Dagdaral?
Hi, Peter.
Mhm.
All right.
Or West Virginia. I don't know. Either.
As you make your way
Okay.
eastward, so Dagdaral,
West Virginia.
you all make your way, either, you know, walking in not content, but a kind of a grim silence, but a little less grim than before. With your new traveling companion, you all Eventually, after about an hour, you do see the unmistakable dark line of the gray walls of Dagdaral over the next few hills, and after even longer, the wall begins to loom higher and higher, and you start passing through more and more farmland, more rice fields, and you...
Sorry, as we get close to the city, I'll put my cloak of Elvenkind on top of Helga, since she's the most recognizable of us.
Do you attune to it, Helga?
What is that supposed to mean? Sure,
Just
I
look
attune to
up.
it.
We can say that as you're walking, you can have, or we can say, like, maybe while you were eating, you gave Helga that, and so you now have a cloak of Elvenkind, which means you have advantage on stealth checks when the hood is up.
I'm gonna want that back.
Okay.
But yeah, as you put it on, it
it's not
if
my
you
style.
if you put the hood up, the color of the cloak shifts to match the environment behind you. It's kind of trippy. It's still obviously a cloak, but it would help you in a hiding situation for sure.
Gotcha.
So,
Helga goes, of course you can have it back. It's not really my style.
so you all finally make your way back to you are starting to see buildings, some ramshackle bits. You do kind of make your way through the more poorer areas of the city, and you are led to the docks, the dock district, the Lochbard, as it were, to a surprisingly familiar establishment. If Finnan is continuing to lead as you guys reach the city.
Absolutely.
Cart rolls right up to the Dragon's Flagon.
Hey.
Ew.
And Good Barrel looks back and looks to the group and kind of just says, just follow me, lead. It's gonna take a minute, but we'll get you safe and sound.
We know these people.
They're pretty cool.
Oh, do you?
And to remember the name of...
The door opens.
Sweetie!
The door opens, and the massive half-orc woman, Kavatia,
That's the name.
and the current running manager of the establishment, opens the door, has to bow her head to get out, and sees everyone, and she says, and she actually notices you, Finnan, first, and says, "Boss, it's so nice to see you."
Kavatia, my favorite manager. It's so good to see you once again.
Oh,
And
I
that-
just...
Cat's eyebrow raises at the sudden change of demeanor.
Yeah, no, that mask that you guys briefly saw as you guys walked up, that's back.
Customer service face.
She's about to she pulls in Finnan for like a bone crushing hug. She disappears between her tits for a couple of minutes, and then she lets him go when she sees the rest of you and the cart, and her face falls, her shoulders slump. Oh.
I've had a bit of a day, and I don't know if it has... Yeah, we've spoken to you about how we kind of need to be under the radar for a little bit. I don't want to put you into any incriminating positions.
Oh, don't you worry about incriminating things, my dear Katrina. My dear Cat, rather. You didn't introduce yourself as Katrina. My dear Cat, everything will be taken care of. Please, come inside.
Right this way. She opens the
I
door,
forget,
kind of
did
steps
we leave?
aside.
I forget, was Crumpet with us in the thing?
Yes.
Yeah, Crumpet has been with you this whole time.
He just been there.
Yep.
Has he been crying?
Nope.
Yeah. So
But Crumpet don't give a shit.
he's kind kind of a heartless cat.
So yeah,
So
he
little.
Finnan walks with surprising purpose, actually, as he moves into the dragon's flagon.
Flagon.
And are there any patrons around right now?
Well, as you enter, it is, I'm gonna say probably closer to 5 in the afternoon. People are starting to finish up their work for the day, so it's not... This is kind of the establishment that doesn't get very busy early on. It's kind of more... It's always been kind of a place where sailors and dockhands will come for a good drink and just some good conversation, have a good time. So it's not really that full. There's a couple of regulars kind of in their usual spots, but they're kind of loners, so they're just chilling.
Anybody that recognizes Finnan?
Let's say... Yeah. There's an old grizzled dark worker you recognize. He's in his normal seat at the bar. He turns around to kind of hear the commotion, and his eyes widen at seeing you. And he's a guy by the name of you'd know him as I don't know. Fucking trying to find out my NPC charts.
Garbage.
While this is happening, Kat's gonna kind of like usher Helga, and Helga, of course, carrying Soot into the back room. Doesn't want to be noticed.
Yeah.
And actually, in order to do that, or in order to facilitate that, I should say, Mike, when I'm interacting
I mean,
with
I got my hood up, so that'll help.
when Finnan starts interacting with this grizzled sailor, I'm going to really sell it hard.
Okay. He's an older man named Agutho. He just speaks like this the whole time. And, it's so good to see you, good barrel. It's a wonderful time.
It's been such a long time. Please. What are you drinking? I'll have
And-
one with you.
Yeah, and you all just kind of go through the old spiel and everything.
Was gonna roll a performance check to try to keep him distracted.
You know what? Absolutely, go for it.
Oh, well, okay, alright. That was a nat 1.
So, actually, these folks, haven't seen them in here before.
Don't you worry about them. They're just passing through.
Well, you look like, haven't seen a lot of travelers around these parts. They're not looking for, any trouble, are they? Kind of fixes himself up. He's not exactly, like, buff, but, like, he's a dock worker, so his beard
And
got...
he reaches...
Kat
Go ahead.
actually ruffles up her hair like flirtily and laughs, and it's just like, "Oh, no trouble from us, sir." And she's being like, this is the first time any of you will have seen Kat act flirty, and
Oh,
she's
really?
very bad at it.
Roll a performance check, Katrina.
Are you saying that Kat hasn't been flirting with Helga this whole time?
You don't know.
Helga doesn't know.
Helga doesn't know anything. Helga has a -1 to all intelligence.
That would be
Ooh,
a
boy.
20. Not natural, but a 20.
All right, a guy who's, clearly had a couple of beers doesn't notice that you're terrible at flirting. He's like, all right, miss, well, as long as you're not going to be causing any trouble, you just have yourself a good time in here. Let me buy you a drink, actually, if you'd like me to.
She's like in the shit now. She kind of like looks at Good Barrel like, "Help me."
So he says, what did you say his name was?
Gutho.
Gutho, please. If anybody's gonna be buying anybody drinks, it's gonna be me right now. I can't let anybody buy a drink. Drinks on the house.
There's like 4 people at the other table go, ah! Like,
Gotcha, pour 'em up.
Kat makes her leave.
All right, and with that, you guys successfully navigate to the back room. which is now devoid of the family that you all had helped out.
I'm gonna ask Kanacha about that when we have a moment.
Yes, but you're kind of ushered back in there. It's just the four of you, and it's the four of you and Soot. And
I was gonna say, I didn't know if Finn had gone back there with them.
I'll say that, you know, like, he kind of did, like, his whole spiel, and then, like, everyone kind of sunk into their drinks a little bit, and, you know,
Yeah,
Kabacha manned the bar, and he went back.
Helga and Kat probably hear just him, you know, some very rehearsed-sounding speeches just delivered in this room-filling voice that's muffled by the door, obviously, for about 2 minutes or so, and then the door to the back room opens, and Finnan comes in, and he is clearly wearing this customer service face again, just walking a little bit taller than he had been. And then once the door closes and latches, he just...
Oof.
So
Very
I suppose
well played back there.
it's what I do, I guess. I suppose I owe you all a little bit of an explanation, yes?
What a terrible existence
mean-
Stanley.
To be entirely honest, my friend, I don't feel like you owe us anything. You've been exceedingly kind.
In fact, we probably owe you a lot more than anything.
There's no owing to be had here. This is the least I can do.
Look, from what I saw, you're good at
The
putting on
least you can do.
performances. As a performer, I know there's always something to be gained. We've just been through a lot. These people have just been through a lot. I don't... Like, Oran, like, now is suddenly, like, acting, like, completely different. Almost like he's snapped into, like, mom friend mode. Like, must protect. And he doesn't look, like, suspicious, but, you know, he definitely has this kind of a cynical look, like, nothing's for free. The room that you are all currently in is, you know, it has a single comfortable kind of a bed off to the side, a little table. There's a small, not so much a fire, but a little brazier with a hood, with like some, you know, seemingly nicely crafted piping that kind of goes into the wall, so that a fire can be lit in here. There's a little comfortable cushion mat right in front of the fire, and on the wall is a wonderful wood-burned placard that says at the top, Mal's words of wisdom, and it has like these kind of just do good and don't be a douche kind of things on it, as far as you're aware.
And
Gentleman's commandments.
Kind of
I was
like
gonna
that.
say, is it like that thing that's hung in your bathroom?
It's very akin to that.
so that's right, because I actually pulled up our list of those.
Yeah, you can read them off if you'd like.
I'll just read a couple, but actually Finnan is going to say to Oran, around here, and around all of the places that I've started, actually, you're actually in the most recent creation of mine. We have a number of sayings, one of which really hit me when I saw you all walking. Be the kind of person you wouldn't mind running a tab for. I'm not here to gain anything from you. I'm here to make sure that you all can get back to where you need to be.
Roll a persuasion check.
Sky is crazy.
I think he's quite noble.
That is a 21.
All right.
Nice.
The little suspicious glint in Oran's eyes winks out entirely. And he kind of nods to himself. Says, all right. Well, if you're not trying to get anything from us, what are you aiming for in your life?
What's your deal, man?
What did you say, Kit?
That was out of character. What's your deal, man?
What's
your damage?
So, like, where are you from?
And Finnan actually just like starts laughing a little bit and just, "Who you're shooting straight for the heart right away, aren't you?"
Well, you know, you gave us a place to sleep, a place with food. You gave us a warm fire. You helped carry our friend. The least we can do is try to find something that we can help speed you along your way. Everyone, if they're not out to get something from people, they're out to get something from life. Especially people that travel. And he gives you a knowing look.
And he just says, "Well, I suppose you're right, Oran. You and I have a lot alike by the sounds of it."
Well, after a couple of centuries, you find ways to connect with people.
I don't quite have centuries, but, you know, a couple of decades will do that.
Sounds about right.
Century.
It's 100 years.
That
What
was
is-
something that we had discussed with Helga in a previous
Yes,
occasion.
I do
Okay.
not understand still. What is 100?
All right, Helga. So, like, 100 is like if you have your fingers, it's that many times.
Finnan actually just starts laughing.
10 finger. I know what 10 is, Oran.
Okay, so it's 10 times.
10?
10
Oh,
is
no one
100.
lives that long.
Elves live that long very often, Helga. I am
Oran is older
305.
than that.
How many 10?
3 times 10 times 10. You had to think about that for a
30
second.
tens.
30
10
tens.
tens. 3 10.
Yeah, 3 10. He's like grasping at his face, like slowly losing his shit.
And this is giving me a moment to actually think about what he's going to say. So,
Yeah,
Finnan's
Helga-
response to all of this. Sorry, Kit. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Helga's just making faces like,
Cat like puts a hand on Helga's shoulder. Helga, put it this way. In the amount of time that it takes for a tree to go from a sprout to a towering oak, Oran has lived probably about 3 of those.
How long does it take tree to grow?
10
In any
tens.
case,
It takes them that long?
It's quite a bit
Helga
of
has
time.
no frame of reference for trees. This is a terrible analogy.
anyway.
Grow, there's no trees.
So that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you all so much for being here. If you are listening to this on iTunes, please be sure to leave us a review because it super duper helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment about your favorite part and your predictions for the next episode. Once again, if you haven't checked out Swords Fall, go and do it. You can find it on Twitter. You can find it on Patreon. It has a website. It'll all be linked in the description below. Go check it out. Show some love. Support some people this fucking month and this entire year, god damn it. Be sure to send some love towards Troy, our newest member. Of course, Tiffany was not here this week because her character is fucking dead, but there seems to be some positive things. There seems to be some potentiality, some maybe a chance. But I'm going to save that for next episode. So, again, thank you all so much for being here. Please be safe, share some love, and tell a story. Good night.